we're sitting today at 413 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And that's just one of the greenhouse gases, right, that are trapping heat and changing our planet. And that's what we mean when we say we've never lived on a planet like this. Drawdown is in direct response to the current conditions in our atmosphere, right? You can think about, we used to have this sort of steady heartbeat, right? The kind of like EKG you want to see, up, down, up, down, up, down, and now we've spiked dramatically upward. And Drawdown is about bringing our planet back to a healthy heartbeat, which means it's not enough to slow down or stop or stabilize up in Terra Nova land. We actually need to turn around and head back the other way to conditions that we know are most conducive for life on this planet. And the great news is that we have most of the tools that we need to get there. And that is what our work at Project Drawdown is focused on in terms of being a clearinghouse for information about the world's best climate solutions.
So, Ibrahim has blown my mind on about 10 occasions on this topic, especially because we're both investors, and you in particular have made both your success and your fortune on, in my opinion, the idea of finding the next new thing. You were early Uber, you were early Tesla, you were early Bloom Energy, you're involved in aspiration. This is what you're in the business of doing, and yet I see you going around the world now saying, now is better than new, which sort of, to me, flies in the face of what we do for a living. So can you please explain now is better than new?
Good morning. So please confirm this for me, but the IPCC report gives us about 12 years to try to keep our temperature from rising above 1.5 degrees, and it's already on a runway to get to 3 degrees. We cannot maintain, what we call life as we know it if we get to 6 degrees Celsius. And the venture arc, when we invest in venture, takes a lot longer than people think. If I was going to invest in a technology, for example, that promises to turn, algae sucking down carbon, whatever it is, we're going to sprinkle this bacteria, genetically modified bacteria, on plastic, it's going to eat it. By the way, please don't send me that article again. All of these things take a long time to get commercialized. So when it comes to clean technologies, those technologies that we want to replace our existing polluting infrastructure, whether it's in energy, water, transportation, food, all of the technologies that are going to replace them, they're going to take a long time to actually replace one system with another. So we need the technologies that are ready now, not fall in love with the prospect of the exciting new ones because they sound like Star Trek. And we all like what's sexy and exciting, but the climate doesn't have time. So as far as I'm concerned, what we're doing is we are picking what we are calling climate critical and market ready technologies that we can scale now. So we can meet these 12-year and 20-year timelines and replace one old polluting inefficient system with another.
Please, go ahead.
And we're going to have some help from what we might think of as like the ultimate R&D machine, 3.8 billion years in the making, which is nature. Right? We were talking about trees last night. So some of it is human-developed technology, but some of it is also the technology of natural systems and natural processes, which happen to be incredibly effective at sequestering, storing carbon, taking it back out of the atmosphere.
Yeah, I love that's like infamous Al Gore joke. We have the greatest technology, ever invented for drawing down carbon. Pause. It's called a tree.
Going on what you said also, Katharine, it's not just for processing and sort of being a part of the cycle, but it's also in terms of warning. I think one of the things that you and I have talked about is that the Earth is very good at giving us signs and feedback.
Yeah, we can think about the climate impacts that we're already grappling with as challenges, as crises, but I think we can also hear them as feedback, right? The planet itself is telling us that the way we are doing things is not working, and that another way of being has to emerge, and very fast. And, feedback, I think, is generally good, but it's especially good if you're getting it from the planet that you call home. Like, that is feedback you would do.
Especially because we're stuck on it.
I was gonna say, I want to know your why. I was in tech for 15 years and I retired and failed miserably. And for me, it was guilt. It was teaching and being exposed to the next generation of young women who all also wanted to be in tech and going, dear God, I can't send them back into the lion's den unless I do something to fix it. You also attempted to retire. And I guess I want to know, why come back? What is FullCycle? What's your why?
So my why is severalfold. First of all, thank you for asking, by the way. I have this, I don't know if everybody has this or this is just, some of us, but it's harder for me to see a problem I know that I can positively affect and then ignore it and go live a hedonistic life. I just don't know how to do that. It pains me more to walk away, and so that's part of my why. Another part of my why is that I delight the most from nature. I could just, when I see a butterfly or a hummingbird, or the number one thing on my bucket list is like floating in front of the eye of a blue whale. That's what I want to do. I just want to sit there and be in awe of this 180-foot creature.
So naturally you went into finance. Connect the dots.
So carbon is a math problem. We produce more carbon or carbon equivalent than our planet absorbs. If I recall the number, it's 42 gigatons. If we're not calculating how much the poor ocean has to absorb, just the difference is 42 gigatons. That's 42 billion tons of carbon or carbon equivalent that we produce than the Earth can absorb. And as Aaron Berger reminded us yesterday, the date of which the Earth ends its regenerative capacity now in 2018 was August 1st. This year it'll be, July 21st. And that number will keep moving down. And then we're just borrowing regenerative capacity from the future. So as somebody who lives on this closed sphere that we all live on, I'm a pragmatist. I need to know that I am not just having a party and robbing the future of having a chance to also live and thrive and enjoy. So I got into finance and I got into tech. And that's what FullCycle does. We pick climate critical market-ready technologies and we house them under one umbrella. Then we create vehicles, opportunities from anywhere from sovereigns to retail investors to participate in the transition from a high carbon to a low carbon economy. This way we can, since the problem affects all of us, we can all be part of the solution and be empowered knowing that we're all part of the solution. And I don't know, but the one thing I can bet on, and I believe we can all agree we can all bet on, isn't people's passion for the climate, but people's inherent self-interest. If we can make it more profitable for people to reverse climate change than they do to cause it, we'll win.
Yes. So, because you knew on a panel with two women this was going to happen. Also, tomorrow's International Women's Day. Yes, yes. For those of you that don't have Katharine Wilkinson on your Google Alerts yet, a quote, her op-ed on CNN just came out this morning. And in that, you say, the world must mobilize climate solutions as quickly and fully as possible, remembering that gender equity is itself one. Gender equity is a climate solution. So please break that down for us.
So, this is as much a climate jacket as it is a feminist jacket. And that is because, just as I sort of break down in this piece, there are critical areas where advancing gender equity, where advancing the rights and opportunities of women and girls have a positive ripple effect on reducing emissions. Women smallholder farmers, and then the fundamental rights to education and access to high-quality, voluntary, comprehensive reproductive health care. And these are still huge issues facing the world. Emissions are not the reason that we should make sure every girl gets to go to school, or make sure that every woman who wants access to contraception or any dimension of reproductive health care should have it. But it turns out that there is a really powerful multi-solving opportunity. So look more in our work on drawdown.org. I did a TED Talk on the topic. It's an incredibly exciting area. And also, women and girls leadership on climate does not end. Does not end with family choices, right? We are seeing incredible leadership from women and girls. You don't need to look any farther than the teenage girls who are leading teenagers by the thousands to strike from school, and we haven't even seen what's coming on March 15th.
You don't get to not answer this question. So, FullCycle. What is FullCycle doing around the single most powerful climate solution, which is to say women?
Which we've also been around for a minute, so.
I have an answer. So we're doing two things. So one of the things that FullCycle does is we give 10% of our profit away to climate restoration. And the reason why we do that is because even replacing our entire infrastructure, all of it, tomorrow still won't do what needs to be done. You actually have to draw down carbon. And one of the biggest, the two areas we've identified obviously is empowerment, education, contraception, women and girls across the world, and investing in restoring mangroves. There's 2% of the forests in the world are mangroves, and they draw down 20% of forest carbon. And we have maps from the 80s that show exactly where they grow, so we can just invest in rehabilitating them and having them go back to doing what they naturally do. And the other thing, I won't kill the messenger, don't worry. The other thing is, because we decided to have a retail component to what we do, the many women around the world are going to be able to save, grow their wealth by participating in our green bond. And we're going to be promoting that because, you know, climate change is also, there's called climate justice. You know, unfortunately, climate change will adversely affect women and girls and the poor in the world. So
And already is.
And already is. So, you know, one of the, beyond our work in climate, we want to create tools for people, financial tools for people, so they can also get on their own feet financially and direct their own destiny through investing in opportunities that usually are only available to the top, not even 1%, but 0.1%. And now we can democratize that for everyone.
In order to make sure Rachel lets us come on stage again, one sentence. We have a mixture, again, of people who are deeply entrenched in the space already. You both have different perspectives than what I think we're all used to hearing. in one sentence or two max, what is the final sort of thought you want to leave people with? And if it's an action, if it's something that people can sort of take home and start shifting, the better.
Get out of your head on climate and into your heart. Because you love what you love, whatever it is, a child, a place, a culture, an ideal, you are already part of this movement and this most crucial mission for humanity.
That feminist jacket gives her superpowers.
I'd like to leave us with a Carl Sagan quote that says, whatever you're interested in is not going to matter if you can't breathe the air and drink the water. Don't sit this one out. Do something.